Love it.
Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for Thoughtcast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, Steve?
Yeah. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm so excited. Today, we are honored to be joined by Lisa Parda, the founder of Realtyscape and the co-host of Lisa and Robin on the mic. What's going on?
How are you doing? Thank you for having me. And thank you for your patience.
Of course. Yeah. Lisa had some technical difficulties, so we switched over to the Zooms, but it's all going to be the same. So
We're on
no,
this.
the listener product will not be affected. The final product will look exactly the same as it does every week. Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I'm a real estate broker who decided that I have been asked enough for my recipes and I was going to put them all in a book. And I'm a book lover, so I thought what a perfect first book to put out into the world would be a cookbook. It's one of my first loves. And I started a publishing company to do that about 5 years ago, and the book is ready now.
Your, your baby, it's ready for the world. That's so exciting.
What?
The book is called My Love Language is Food.
Yeah.
There's
Nice.
128 recipes in there. So if that's the everyday edition, does that mean there's like an entertaining edition coming out?
Yes, there's going to be a party edition coming up.
Aha, that's
So
amazing.
what? Excellent. So what you're saying is when I'm ready to finally make my second book, that I have a publisher. I
Yes,
Yes.
ready. I'm ready. We
Sweet.
can swear at it together.
So so
You heard it here first, folks.
so Chef Steven and Lisa should do a cookbook swap after this, and we can work the details
We'll
out.
make that happen.
So
And we should do like a live and cook each other's dishes.
yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Now we're good. Yeah.
Now we're cooking with gas. I love it. I love
Spin-offs. I
it.
love it.
Lisa, we start every episode asking each other and our guest what is the most amazing thing you ate this week. So I would put Chef Steven in the hot seat. Steve, you're first.
Hot seat. Well, I just got back from San Antonio,
Mm.
and my mom, my sister, her husband, and her two boys came up to visit from South Texas, and they've never had dim sum. So typically they'll do Chinese food like the fried rice, lo mein, the sweet and sour chicken, stuff like that. But they've never done like actual dim sum. So I took them to Golden Walk because that's, as you know, one of my favorite places in San Antonio. And we had chicken feet, we had beef tendons, we had the shmai, all the good stuff. And they got to see firsthand what it was like to be adventurous with their eating.
Nice. I love that. Lisa, how
Yes.
about you?
I had an ethnic thing going on. So I made bigos, which is Polish hunter stew. It is with pork, beef, bacon, sauerkraut, mushrooms, cabbage. It's delicious. And it's cooked down for like 3.5 hours in the oven. And then I had cheese pierogi that I made with bacon, butter, a little bit of onion, a little bit of sour cream.
That sounds incredible. Can you FedEx that to North Carolina?
So is it called, you said it was called Bigo?
Bigos?
Or is
Bigos.
it called Delicious? Because I heard two different names.
It is it's like a beef stew that's not a beef stew,
Mm.
Nice.
if that makes sense. And
And it's the time of year for it too, yeah.
it is. Yeah. And I'm a huge cabbage fan and I really love sauerkraut. And when everything melts down into itself, it's really good.
So it's pork based, you said?
Yes. So you start with bacon. You do have, you can do it with all beef or you can do it with like a country style rib, but it's meant, hunter stew is that everyone came back and contributed something. They added cabbage to it, sauerkraut, and then they would feed everyone. That was the premise of it in Poland. And I do sometimes just do it with beef because when you add all the meats, you'll have maybe like 25 days worth if you're not feeding a crowd,
Right.
but it does freeze well.
Right. That sounds incredible. So by the time you stew it all down in the oven, is it more like a stew or a soup?
It's neither. It's actually not that liquid.
So it's like a braised.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Think short rib, kind of like shredded down.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. Man, I
Yeah.
love sauerkraut. It's so underrated.
It is. And I'm a huge cabbage fan, which, cooking cabbage, everyone thinks of cabbage and coleslaw and they go, I don't like it. And it's like, well, maybe you don't have good coleslaw, but cabbage is amazing and it's very versatile. And like when you don't have good winter lettuce,
Yeah.
you get a
Mhm.
cabbage, in my opinion.
Well,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hard. It's hardy, and then you can store it. It doesn't go bad. I mean, it takes for if you have a head of cabbage that goes bad in your fridge, like you went on
You've had it
vacation or
there
something,
for
like you had it for a
yeah.
long time.
Uh,
a long time. I love cabbage. One of the first ways that I learned to love, I've always liked coleslaw and I like sauerkraut too, but I don't like the Hungarian, like I don't like the one with the caraway seeds in it. I'm not a fan of like that's an odd flavor that I can appreciate in something like rye bread, but not like in there. But I love sauerkraut, and the really lazy way is like a link sausage and sauerkraut in the crock pot, like like make some biscuits or bread or whatever. But one of the first ways that a few friends of mine taught me to really appreciate cabbage was they scored it almost all the way down to the roots. They made this like really deep X in the top. It looked like Irish soda bread or whatever. Shoved an entire stick of butter down into the middle, and then covered it with Tony Chachere's Cajun seasoning, and like wrapped it in foil and put it in the oven and just let it braise. And you pull these like soft leaves off, and it's like spicy and buttery and like, yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It's so good. It's so good. Let's see. What was the most amazing thing I ate this week? I had a good friend at work. We will exchange leftovers sometimes, and this gentleman brought me an all-white lasagna, which I adore. So all the same that you would find in one with red sauce, but just all bechamel based. So good. Really, really good. It's like spinach and zucchini and Italian sausage and a lot of garlic, and he put nutmeg in his bechamel. It was like
yeah.
chef's kiss. So
Sweet.
chef's kiss. What's
Sounds
the
good.
weather doing? You said you're in New Hampshire, right, Lisa?
Yes, so we had 5 inches of snow over the last night, and the day
No,
before we had like another 3 inches of
no,
snow.
thank you.
Here I'm complaining that the wind chill's cold. Ugh,
What's
you
the
all had a lot
weather?
more
So
snow than me.
Steven's in Midland, Texas. What's the weather there?
Currently in the 50s. I think the next few nights it's going to be like down in the 20s, but like no snow, nothing like that. So, during the day you can walk around, maybe a light sweater. At night you need your jacket, but of course I'm too lazy to put on a sweater, so I'm freezing and I'm wondering why am I so cold? But yeah, that's
I and I,
Texas problems.
myself, I'm coming from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm not originally from here. I'm actually from Texas, where we almost never get snow, and when we do, it's a historic event. But yeah, so we had 2 hours of snow yesterday, but it was on top of 6 hours of rain and sleet. So all it did was make ice. And I think it gets down into the teens, and then next weekend there's 100% chance of snow Saturday and Sunday. So,
Wow.
which is amazing because nobody in North Carolina can drive in any kind of weather. And that means that when the restaurant where I work is the busiest, half the team will be calling out because they'll be afraid to drive. So, super looking forward to that.
Understandable.
So much fun.
So
Right,
much
Lisa?
fun. So much fun. And Lisa, you're originally from Boston.
Yes.
Which
So,
part?
are you familiar with Boston at all?
I love Boston.
Okay, so I'm from Somerville,
Okay. Yep.
and I grew up in Somerville, and then got priced out, went to Malden, went to Revere, and then moved up to Derry, New Hampshire. And I've loved New Hampshire since I've moved up here.
Oh, I love
Had
that.
a little bit more moving in between there, but we came back about 14 years ago. We came back to New England and we settled in New Hampshire.
I had the chance to go on a school trip to Boston when I was, I don't know, 14 or 15, like for the history. The school trip got canceled. I can't remember why. It was maybe not enough students signed up, or maybe they couldn't get enough parent chaperones. But my mother had already signed up, and she was like, listen, I've already paid. I bought your plane ticket. Like, you and I are going to go, and I'm going to pull you out of school. Coolest mom ever, right? So we go up there. We've never seen snow in person. The wind is blowing so hard that our eyes are watering. It's freezing to our face. It was like Valentine's Day, essentially, time in Boston, and we had a blast. We took the Beantown trolley. This was a while ago, but I've been several times since then. But we took the Beantown trolley tour. We went to the USS Constitution. We took the tourist picture where you're trying to lift the anchor, and like we did all the things. We went to the original Cheers. We went to the fake one. We went to Faneuil. Like, I love Boston. I thought it was the most magical place I had ever been to. And you can take a boat from the airport. I was like, dude, this is amazing. So yeah, really cool.
And we have great
I
food.
digress. Oh, and the food is amazing.
And the food is amazing. It's like everywhere you go, you have your pocket of just like dim sum. You were talking about dim sum. I know that there's this place that everyone talks about, and every time we have a chance to go, people want to either do a steakhouse in Boston or they want to do seafood in Boston. So I haven't gotten around to it, but I hear that there's this, and the name is going to escape me at this moment, but I know exactly the corner it's on.
Yeah, nice. There was a time, I'll ask forgiveness for it now, but there was a time where I thought that Legals was the best seafood in Boston because I didn't know better. But
But they do have good seafood.
it's good in a pinch, right? Like
It's
yeah.
for a chain, you're not going to get a better chain than
Oh,
legal seafood. And they actually play classical music to their lobsters to keep them in a stress-free environment so that their meat tastes better, just so you know.
I didn't know that. I
And
didn't
they
know
Interesting.
have the
that.
best clam chowder,
That's
white.
amazing. Yeah, so good. So good. Yeah, I don't mess with the Manhattan. I don't mess with it. I like bouillabaisse. That's a different animal, but
Yeah.
I like a creamy clam chowder.
Yeah.
So, well, Lisa, talk to us about your cookbook. How did this happen?
So this happened because I've always been a book lover and I grew up on a diet. I grew up, I'm a 72 model. I grew up in the 80s where it was heroin chic, thinness,
Mm,
and my mother was on a diet. My best friend's mother was on a diet. We were on a diet. We were on the cabbage soup diet. We were on the grapefruit diet. So I grew up really not understanding or having a decent relationship with food. I loved
yeah.
it, but it was something like that
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, we can't be together, but I love you, like a lot of that. That's the way I
It'll
imagine it.
never work. We're star-crossed.
But we were meant to be together.
That's
But
rough.
my
The
house.
thing is though, you need food to live, and food has no moral value. It's just fuel. Like it's so
Yes.
sad, you know? Like, yeah,
But I didn't learn about food that way.
sure.
I sort of learned that it was the enemy.
Mm,
Like, take some Dexatrim, smoke a cigarette, have some caffeine,
yeah.
starve yourself. That was, not that that much has changed over the years.
A
Now we have,
diet tab and Virginia Slim.
yes, exactly, exactly. So I met my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and he was just like, I don't know what this is, but like, I don't know what this is.
I don't like
I
it.
have
Yeah.
to eat. I'm starving. And so he introduced me to way better food.
Yeah.
And then the more I started to eat real food, the actual thinner I got because I wasn't eating no calories and junk. I was eating real food that my
Yeah.
body could deal with.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then I sort of fell in love with it and I started watching, this was before the Food Network. I started watching PBS, the Culinary Institute of America on Saturday mornings,
Yes.
Nick Stellino on Saturday mornings, and I would just watch them and then try to remember what they did. Then I bought the CIA cookbook because I'm like, well, I'm a reader. Like
Yeah.
everything I've
Yeah.
learned is through reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, get the Culinary Institute cookbook and textbook and read how to process everything. And none of the recipes worked because they were for 450 people in like a hotel,
Right.
but I could get the idea. But then I've always sort of loved cookbooks. To me, if you spend $35 and get a recipe that you just bring into your repertoire, that's a good cookbook in my opinion. You can give it, gift it to someone after you found what you wanted out of it. I always find more than one, but I loved being able to satisfy myself at the most fundamental level,
Yeah.
which was to cook what I
Yeah.
want, how I wanted it, exactly how I wanted it, because I'm a really picky eater. Picky.
Define picky. Like you won't
I
go
don't
near a
probably like
vegetable
your
or like
mushrooms because I like my mushrooms because if you cook mushrooms the wrong way, they're all rubbery and
Yeah.
flabby. Eggplant, I probably won't eat eggplant. I mean, your house, I would eat eggplant at your house. I would eat mushrooms at your house. But the average person, not eating the average person. Because if you don't do the eggplant right, it's weird
It's
and
a
soggy
sponge. Yeah, it's
and
gross.
Yeah.
spongy.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
but spanakopita, I'll eat airport spanakopita. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what spanakopita is. Like bad spanakopita is good spanakopita to me.
I,
But
I'm like that with pizza.
yes, so I
Yeah.
am at the point of pizza of like I'm not eating crappy pizza. I'm not eating crappy
I
pizza.
definitely have my preferences, but I think we've said it a couple times on this podcast. Like pizza is like sex. The bad pizza is still pizza.
Right.
You know,
Yes,
I don't
and that's
know.
how I feel about spanakopita. I'm still happy
Yeah.
with spanakopita. I'm just not going to be as satisfied as if I would have had the red.
Sure. Yeah. I won't turn down creme brulee if it's on any menu anywhere. It doesn't
My
matter if I
husband,
just ate 15 courses. I'm going to find a way.
There's always room for dessert. Yeah.
Always room.
yes.
Yep.
Always.
Yes, so that's kind of how and then it got to the point where I loved feeding people. Like this became a love. It became a way to satisfy myself. It made me feel independent. It made me feel like I had, it brought so many good things to my life. And so, then you start sharing it with people, and then people are always like, oh my God, this is so good. I have to have the recipe. And I'm like, well, when I write my first book, it's going to be a cookbook. And so that's this book.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I didn't realize, when I thought I was going to be writing a book, I thought I was going to be writing, a fiction book, because that's a lot of the books that I love. And this is a technical scientific book,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
resisted for several years, like a good 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research and development that goes into it. So yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it almost can feel like if something gets too technical, all the love will be out of it. But you kind of need it, right? You kind of need like the science stuff. It's what makes it successful, and it makes it sell. In other words, like, you know,
yeah, the reproducible, like you have to be able to reproduce it the way I'm doing it. And so I have a cheesecake recipe. So it's not my cheesecake recipe per se. It is the one that when I was in the sixth grade, we had a New York cheesecake company that was in Somerville in Teal Square. And their cheesecakes were like this high. There was an Italian cheesecake that was this high, and it made people's eyes roll in the back of their head.
yeah, yeah.
And they went out of business. My neighbor who knew the woman who worked there grabbed the recipe on a folded 8.5 by 11 paper, and she made it. And she was like, oh my God. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to make it. And my mother's like, you're not going to be able to make a cheesecake. Like, it's the hardest thing to make. And I'm like, oh, I don't think so. It's written down. And so I put it together and I make it for a family member's birthday. And everyone's like, you did not make this. I'm like, I followed the instructions.
Yes, I did.
I made cheesecake. But that was probably like my first forte into like, wow, if you have something that's repeatable and you can really make people really happy through it, that was probably my first, even though cheesecake wasn't my favorite dessert. So in the seventh and eighth grade, I was making cheesecakes that I weren't eating,
Mhm.
but the adults loved them,
Nice.
Yeah.
you know? And so I was a baker first because I was baking cookies. I was doing the back of the Toll House package. I was a baker first, so I could follow a recipe. But then you learn to cook, and now you're like ad-libbing and doing all your stuff. And then for a cookbook, you have to pull that all back in, and you're measuring, is it 1 tablespoon or is it 2 tablespoons? Is it a fat tablespoon? Are you going to do a big glob? Am I going to do a little glob? You start getting into that, and then you drive yourself crazy, and you're like, get this out of the house. Get this done.
I think baking's a really easy way for younger folk to get into cooking because it's foundational. So, it's so scientific that it's almost like you have to learn how to color inside the lines before you can improvise. And the cooking is like so much by feel. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's a lot easier. I despise baking. I'm pretty good at it, but I won't do it for money. Like, I won't do
Oh,
it.
okay.
So,
And why is that? Because at the end of the day, you just want to be eating it and you don't want to go diabetic?
well, actually, that's funny. Both of us have diabetes.
I'm
Um,
us.
oh no, you're totally fine. No, it's really just more because like I was raised handful of this, two spoonfuls of that. Just a very like fluid, organic process, and I think recipes dig at my despair for following rules. Uh,
Anti-authority.
Pretty much. I'm actually, that's funny. I'm like a consummate rule follower. I just don't want to be told how to cook. So
Yeah.
I won't speed and I always wear a seatbelt, but please don't tell me that I can't make this cake, raisin walnut peanut if I want to, or that I can't add cocoa powder and make it chocolate, or, bread, I think is one of the hardest things for me because it's super scientific. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm going to make soup. You can throw 50 things in soup and it'll still taste good.
Whether you
Yeah.
throw 3 pieces of celery or 4 carrots, they're so forgiving.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah, 100%. So, talk to us about, I really want to understand more about this concept of kind of blurring the lines between food and spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we, from the physical space,
Hmm.
right? or from an emotional space. We're doing a physical space, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So for real estate, everybody wants a great kitchen, but hardly anyone cooks in them, right? And
Okay.
if you have a small space, if you're not utilizing your space efficiently, you will think you don't have the space to cook. But I have cooked on in apartments that are a stove, 12 inches, 12 inches, and I used my table. Because, right, I'm never going to be able to cook on the side of 24 inches on, 12 on each side of the stove. So my table now becomes my countertop.
Right.
And you have to decide, you know, that's where my love of the stackable bowls came in and the stackable pots and pans, because I think to cook, depending on how adventurous you're being in your cooking, you need a soup pot, you need a sauce pot, you need a this pot, you need a that pot, you need a hollandaise sauce pot, right? So if you're cooking a lot of food, you now have to also manage that space as efficiently as possible. And I don't know what to do with my lids to this day. Like, I just at Christmas bought myself the over the door hangers, but they hang lower than the cabinet, so I had to return them back to Amazon. I don't know what to do with the lids.
Oh no.
You know, I've got them precariously in the back of a corner. But the now, if I were talking about, that's our home space. I think everyone has the space to entertain. I think we just have to change the way we think about entertaining.
Yeah.
For I think we've lost the art of having people over,
Yeah.
and
100%.
What do
I
you
don't know
mean?
where that came in, but it feels like people think, oh, you have people over. Oh, I'm not prepared. It's like, well, we can bring pizza or we can all order wings
Okay.
from the place or,
Yeah.
just it's
It's
being
less formal.
together and communing over food is the part that we care about. We really don't care about the space that it's happening. So I'm sitting with my plate on my knees on a couch. It's fine. It's being together that counts and it's sharing the food I think that counts.
Yeah.
So the overall experience, I'm the same way. I love all that stuff.
Yeah. I tend to when people come over, I've got a couple of sets of china. Like I'm kind of a minimalist by design, so I have one set that I use for every day, and then one set that there really isn't any difference. There's just one set is sentimental, so I don't use it every day. And if somebody comes over, I want to showcase it, right?
Mhm.
But the thing that's funny, like it reminds me of like I had my mom and my twin brother down from Texas for Christmas. We sat at the table. I have a six top table. It's a long rectangle, low, and it's got like a leaf in it, and it's kind of like I don't know, postmodern, I guess you would call it. I've got three black chairs and three white chairs, and um, it kind of works well with all the color, like any different colors. But I have placemats, and I had trivets, and I have coasters, and I have these nice plates and everything, stemless martini glasses, whatever you need for entertaining, right? When I'm eating, I have a blanket on my lap. I have a dog on each side of me. I'm on the couch watching TV with a paper plate,
Yeah.
right? And I think that we somehow think that that is not good enough for company. But if that's your most authentic self and it removes like all this facade or like whatever is making you nervous and unable to enjoy yourself, like why wouldn't you? I'm not saying maybe not necessarily paper, but like why wouldn't you make that your most inviting space, right? Like. So
What's so funny that you say that about the paper plate. At your house, I'm happy to eat a paper plate, but if I've made the food, I want it on a regular plate.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Yeah.
is, but like when people are like, "Oh, just bring out the paper plates," I'm like, "It's a chicken parm with sauce. We're eating
It's
the
gonna be like,
sauce." Yeah, the sauce will go into the plate. Somehow you won't have enough sauce. Like it's so funny how I'm also not a potluck person. I will never throw a potluck,
mm.
but I can go to potlucks. But throwing one myself would give me anxiety.
You want to so do you not ask people to bring stuff at all? You want to control, not control, that's like has a terrible connotation, right? But
Right.
you want to be responsible for like
I'm
all of
setting the
the
menu.
right,
I'm
right, right,
setting
right.
the thing,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
right?
right.
And if I'm giving you something to do, like if people insist, I will give them something that's going with what I have going on.
Yeah.
Because what I've been to is a ton of potlucks that have 3,000 pasta salads and 25 brownies and not much of anything else. And, you know, that's all well and fine. And it sounds like I'm being judgmental, but I will go to your party and eat actually my body weight in chips. I don't even have to have the mac salads. I'm gonna enjoy myself and have tons of food and eat all the desserts. I'll try 4 different types of brownies when I'm out, but when I'm having a party that I'm organizing, I feel like I want to know everybody has been fed the way I want to feed them.
You want it, and
Yeah.
I absolutely think this word is overused, but I think it fits the best. You want it curated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, every time that we have people over, our friends before they come over, they'll ask, "Well, what do you want me to make? What do you want me to bring?" Which takes a lot of pressure, in my opinion, off my shoulders. But because I'm the one that's usually preparing like the proteins, maybe a side or two or a dip, and then we have some friends who make some really great desserts. So it's like bring dessert, or we
Mhm.
have some friends that are they make some really good cocktails. So we're like, okay, so and so is bringing dessert. I'm doing this. You make the cocktails. We're set. And of
Yes.
course, a lot of the times it's around the pool. So that's when we do paper plates. But like if it was inside, like around this time of year, we'll do plastic plates. I'm okay with that. You know?
Yeah.
I use this table stores mail. I record this podcast at this table, and I don't eat a meal here unless I have a guest. Like, that's just really realistic. I eat most meals standing up in the kitchen. So
I will tell you for the funny part of me that's, saying I won't use a paper plate in my house. I will stand over the sink and just eat the food so that I don't need a plate at all.
yeah.
Like, I will just sit there and eat it. Like, I'm just going to have the crumbs go here and I'm not doing a paper plate, but I'm not also
Yeah.
washing a plate. So I think all of those parts of us need to exist.
Yeah, I think it's all the facets of your personality somehow. I don't have a problem with other people's cooking, but I often find myself going like, you don't need to bring anything because usually in my head I have a theme.
Yes.
Usually there's some angle that I'm working like this is all tapas or this is Thanksgiving or like whatever it is. I'm just like, I got it.
Yeah. And I honestly love cooking. So if I'm having you over, I'm doing that because I'm loving to do that. And you love my food anyway, so it's fine. When we go to your house, I'll do it however you want to do it. But when I'm doing it at my house, that's usually the way it happens.
Do you let people help or no?
Um, okay. So all right. So my cousin comes over, it's my husband's cousin, and he's like, you just seem so natural. I'm like, but that's because I'm doing everything. And I have the rhythm. I'm doing my dance. I don't have to participate and knock your knees. Like I'm doing my dance. When I say, please don't get up from the table and I start sorting the plates off, it's because they have to go in a dishwasher a certain way or we're not going to have the sink. And if you start and everyone just brings them up, like sit down, you will only see me stressed if everyone starts bringing their plates to my kitchen before I'm ready. Then you'll see me with sweat. Everything else, I have a rhythm and I'm doing it my way. So from
Yeah.
that standpoint, it's easy for me.
Yeah. I love that.
What's one of your favorite dishes to make when you're entertaining?
When I'm dating,
Oh, and entertaining. Sorry.
oh, entertaining. Because I was going to say, I did win my husband's family's love with my cheesecake.
Yes.
So if you need to impress any in-laws, just make them this cheesecake. They will love you, but you will have to bring it forever after. Warning.
Does it have ricotta? Is it like Italian? Italian?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's ricotta and it's got lemon juice in
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And it's
good.
fluffy and light, but it's huge and
Mhm.
it's crustless too. So
Love
it's
it.
really good. But um so when I'm entertaining, I like food that multiplies easy. So I
Okay.
have like a stuffed chicken thigh because I like chicken thighs more than I like chicken breasts. They can handle a lot of cooking. You can cook
Mm.
them in advance, you can cook them again. That juiciness comes down. So I like things like I'll make stuffed peppers. If I have 5 of you or I have 15 of you, I'm just multiplying out the peppers and then I'm having sides. So I don't have necessarily a specific dish, but it's stuff that I can make for 6 people or I can make for 60 people, just depending on how many I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total.
I love that.
What about
Mine
you?
is it's almost always chicken thighs or boneless short rib because you really can't mess up. And you can go Asian, you can go Spanish, you can go Italian. Like you can you can pretend the short rib is beef bourguignon and you can go like, pine nuts and olives. And I mean, you can really steer it like any way, but those two meats are so forgiving and really easy to do for a crowd, and they don't break the bank. So,
Yeah, and one of the things about cooking for parties is I almost part of it was years ago. I lived across the street from a friend and we would alternate Saturdays, parties at my house one Saturday, parties at her house one Saturday. And then my husband says, "You're never at these parties. I don't know where you are. Your staff, you're in the kitchen." And I'm like, "I like being in the kitchen. It's fine." He's like, "You have to participate in the parties. So you have to think of food that you make ahead, but then you're with us at the party." So another key for my entertaining is it has to be able to be prepped 100% ahead or
mm,
even cooked ahead and
mhm.
then just reheated.
And just held. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love
I
that.
can be part of the party because I am so fun.
You're
I
the life
growing up,
of the party.
yeah. And for me, growing up, it was like being in the kitchen, and then going to the grill with all the guys, and then just seeing everyone, like I don't know. I guess I was like the social butterfly where I just like a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
Um, it's always nice when you have everything pre-made, but there's also part of that fun where you have a lot of people over. And in my case, it was always family. So you're just cooking alongside with the family, just uh, telling stories, having a good old time. And that's always been fun. And then with friends, I find myself doing the same thing too, because if I'm doing like a brisket, clearly we'll prepare that. But like if it's like my thing's like a tri-tip, or I'll get a leg of lamb and cut it into steaks, and then I'll get the fire ready at least. But then everything else is like, hey guys, come hang out with me while I'm cooking. Let's just have some fun. And because there's always going to be questions to ask. How'd you prepare this? How'd you prepare that? Oh, let me show you. So
Yeah, and I would love to come to those parties. Please invite me.
come on down to Texas anytime you want.
Um, One of my favorite things to remind people of is that the kitchen used to historically was like the center of the home, right? Like when you had a hearth and you were using it not just to cook food on, but literally to stay alive because it would warm the entire space. The kitchen was in the center of the house. And I think it was like really the 70s when they started like taking the kitchen would be like off. You got like a lot of those split level ranch styles, or like the kitchen would be different and you would actually have like the formal dining rooms. Like one of the things that I enjoy so much about like a 90s house is that there's not a lot of wall between that entertaining spaces there, so that you can have bar stools at the island or at the counter or whatever, but like people can
Yeah.
come in and be a part of the process. And Lisa, do you find yourself like in the realty world, like do you find yourself gravitating toward the spaces that have the kitchens you like one better than the other? Is that
Oh,
really, really important to you?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's how functional each space is. So I love a beautiful space, but I need it to be somewhat of a functional space
Mhm.
because you can make anything beautiful. It's,
Yeah.
because you can paint it, you can put surfaces, you can put furniture, you can put soft, you can put curtains, you can put artwork. Any space can be beautiful. So it has to really kind of function as the best as it can. And I've lived when I lived in Somerville, when I lived in Malden and Revere, those houses are 120 years old. There was not even refrigeration when these people made kitchens.
Yep.
So that's why they didn't have, everyone's like, why is your refrigerator in the hall? It's like, because this house was built, to accommodate an 1876 family. The closets also don't have room for more than four
Yeah.
coats.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like you live in old spaces and you learn to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I live in a rental here in Raleigh, but um my brother and I have a twin brother, and we were previously living together in the house that my grandmother owned and my mother grew up in. It doesn't have a dishwasher. There's not a place for one. And when we moved into it, the kitchen sink would drain right outside the other side of the wall, just a spigot into the yard. Like just like not even really gray water, like just pretty illegal, right? Like not even up to code, like just like a cast iron spout on the side of the house. And I could be washing dishes and like look out the window and look over and be like, yeah, like okay, like no, not even a garbage disposal, just a drain on each side. Just like
Uh-huh.
wild, just absolutely feral,
Yeah.
like, but I have a rental now, and it's got this beautiful dishwasher in it that will take anything off. I could put a car tire in there and it would get it spotless, without any scrubbing. And oftentimes I'll be like, yeah, yeah, bro, it's really nice to live in a house that wasn't built in 47.
Yes.
like.
I love modern amenities. When people say, certain things, I'm like, no, I love living in this age. I love my AC and my dishwashers. Like, I think a house, so the floor plan we have right now, it's very open. So we have a bonus room, a family room, and the kitchen, and they're just one giant space.
Hmm.
I have an island. And it's probably has, no exaggeration, like 15 cabinets, 16 cabinets, right? And I'm like, we should have two dishwashers. Don't call yourself an entertaining house unless
Yeah.
I have two dishwashers.
Yeah.
I want to make my exact floor plan kitchen that area, just add a few more rooms to it, but make two dishes and call it the Lisa floor plan. Take out the microwave, put in the air fryer, get two dishwashers, and now you're set.
My ultimate dream when I was thinking about dream kitchens when I was a kid was I always wanted a really deep, and I learned later on that I think it's like a farmhouse style sink, but I wanted a really deep sink so that when I was entertaining, I could put all the dishes in it. And I
Mhm.
wanted the lid to pull over, but be flush with the counter. And then I wanted all the counter to be butcher block. So I
Yep.
wanted the sink when it was closed off and hiding all the dirty dishes to be extra prep space.
Yeah,
And
functional.
I still want that.
Yeah.
And we will name that your name as a
Yes.
floor plan. Like it's a great design. I love it.
So I always wanted that. But yeah,
My wife always tells me when we get our next house, she wants me to have the ultimate kitchen of my dreams. And to be honest, I don't even know what that would consist of. As long as, I mean, I can make food, I can wash dishes, got some prep space, I'm good. I'm happy. So we'll
Low
see what that looks like
maintenance.
one day.
You're low
Lisa,
Yeah,
maintenance.
exactly. Exactly.
Lisa, is there any kitchen in a space that you've helped to prepare or sell that stands out the most?
I would say a lot of the second homes probably stand out the most in my opinion because they're oriented towards views. They're
Hmm.
oriented. I've sold a couple of houses that the kitchen is all on the back wall with basically an island and then nothing but wall of windows overlooking a view. Like that kind of stuff where you're in the kitchen but you wouldn't want to be anywhere else, but you're also not missing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That to
I
me
love
is probably some of the most ultimate spaces.
I love that. So you're team air fryer, but not microwave?
So I don't even know how to use an air fryer to be honest with you, but my sister-in-law loves it. I'm an oven girl.
Mm.
I'm an oven person. I don't know how to use the microwave because when we bought our first house, my husband's like, "Oh, you're learning to cook and you love it so much. Let's get a professional grade stove." So we had to remove the microwave above so we can get the real vent because we were setting
Yeah.
our cabinets on fire.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
there was that much heat coming out of this professional grade stove and oven, right? So um I lost having a microwave because I also didn't have the counter space for a microwave. And I'm like, why would I use a microwave when I have this $5,500 stove in 1996? You know what I mean? Like I spent more on
Yeah.
the stove proportionally than my house was worth. So we so I just never used the microwave. And then it got to a point where the next house we moved into, we remodeled and I took out the microwave in lieu of a beautiful stainless steel, gorgeous hood. And I didn't have a microwave in that house. And then we moved to this house and I have a microwave and I'm always asking my husband, how many minutes do I microwave this for? I have no idea.
I
I'm
love
not a
that.
microwave person.
I
I
love
grew up on the microwave in the 80s. So I used to have, I said I'm a 70s girl, right? We go into the 80s. I'm eating Elio's pizza and French bread, Stouffer's French bread pizza. That's what I'm allowed to cook. So I'm not allowed to use the oven or the stove top, but I'm allowed to use this toaster oven. And it has a window and I can see what's happening and I can like toast things perfectly. And I really get to use this one item perfectly. Now, my parents get rid of it for microwave. And they're like, but now you can have it in 60 seconds. I'm like, yeah, but it sucks.
Yeah, but it's a soggy now.
Yeah.
It's
Not
so,
the
and they were
same.
like, yeah, but it's quick. I'm like, but I'm just having crappy quickly. I don't care. I want it to be good, you know? So I've never been a lover of the microwave to begin with because I would be eating a ton of, and that at that time we were eating frozen food. We were having steakums, which was a steak and cheese, quoted
I'm,
fingers.
I'm familiar. I
Okay.
mean, they had it in the 90s too when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm eating a steak and cheese that's all like in a plastic and it's microwaved, and you get
Uh-huh.
it's burning hot except for that one tiny bit that's still icicle frozen,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, the whole sandwich is ruined.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yep.
how picky I am.
Yeah.
That's how picky I am. The whole sandwich is ruined.
Yeah. It's the hot pocket paradox, like the one cold spot.
And it's infuriating when you bite into it because it's so jarring to your, enjoyment of something, I think.
Yeah. It's absolutely triggering. It's so gross.
Uh,
It's like eating that chicken tendon when it's attached to something and you're like, oh, it bite back. Like now I don't want the chicken. Steak.
Yes, that I am team no tendon and a chicken tender. It's so gross.
Yes.
I watch the videos on TikTok and I can see people are leaving them in there and in bread. I'm like, no, I'm not eating at your house. You're nasty. Stop doing that.
And do you see all these other videos where people are like putting the spoon to taste it and then putting the spoon back in, and you're like, well, everyone has COVID now. Like
Yep.
if this is what you're doing, like what? And again, go back to the CIA cookbook, how to keep things stored, how not to give people botulism. It was a very important book in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
speaking
Go
of
ahead, Steve.
books, if I may shift gears, yeah, like so what's some of so how'd you come up with the name of your cookbook?
Um, I think because I had such a rough relationship with food at the beginning, and when I fell in love with it, it was almost like it was a love I didn't know I had and that I needed, and it was a love that I shared. So there were several other titles of the book, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't think they were marketable. I thought a couple of them were pretty good, but I was like, I don't know how I'm going to market this.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I do have a relationship with like the dyslexia center and other things. And I'm like, I also need something that if a 14-year-old would pick it up, I wouldn't be like, put that down.
So what kind of recipes can people find in your book?
Um, so there's different seasons. So there's stuff that you can make ahead.
Okay.
There's stuff that's quick, and then there's stuff that's long that the oven does most of the work. And I have breakfast for dinner. So a lot of times, especially in real estate, you're showing property in the summer until 7, 8 o'clock at night because it's light till 7 o'clock. And then I have to come home and make something to eat, or I have to have takeout. And I'm like, oh, you could just get takeout, but I might be disappointed. Or I can make breakfast food and I'll have an easy stomach. It's easy to clean up. I always have the ingredients at my house. So breakfast in here is also breakfast for dinner. I have eggs Benedict. I have breakfast potatoes. I have like chia seed pudding, stuff that you can take with you on the go because I do a lot of eating in the car as a
Yeah.
realtor as well.
Yeah.
Then I have easy type of like party dip stuff or appetizer stuff so that when you have people over, you just make one or two so that everyone's not starving for food while you're doing what you need to do. And then I have soup salads. I'm a big salad person, but I'm a prima donna salad person. Like I don't like iceberg, 3 grape tomatoes, a carrot, and a cucumber. Like
It's it's not a
Yeah.
salad. It's not a salad.
a salad.
It's a garnish.
Get that
Yeah.
out of here. Like I want, everything in my salad. I want it to be, it has to have all the elements. And I'm a big
Uh-huh.
homemade salad dressing person, so I have a lot of homemade salad dressings. I'm a big soup person, like you said. I think soups are very forgiving. They use up a lot of waste in
Yeah.
your kitchen, which I think is really important as you're starting to learn to cook. You're like, oh, I just bought kale to throw it in the trash a week later, or I just bought this to throw it in the trash.
Right.
No, so I think, and then I have mains meals. I'm an omnivore, and I have gone vegetarian a few times in my life. So the vegetarian food I have doesn't taste like no one would miss the meat because it's
Right.
celebrating the vegetable.
Right.
Because every time I had a difficult time with vegetarianism, it was like mock meatloaf. I don't want mock meatloaf, right? So when I finally understood that, well, if I'm using butternut squash, it's not butternut squash steak, but it's the best butternut squash you're ever going to eat. It's
Right.
flavored well, it's prepared well, So that's how I wanted my vegetarian food to come through. But I do have a lot of fish because it's kind of based on a Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like it's got a little bit of everything for everybody, which I'm sure was maybe a little bit of the intent.
Yes. Well, it's supposed to be stuff that you don't already have on your shelves. Like food, certain food photographs beautifully, and
Uh-huh.
everyone has it in their cookbooks because it photographs beautifully. And this is porn in a way, visually,
Right.
right? You're warming, like I use cookbooks, like I don't know what I want to eat. I start flipping through pictures. I'm warming myself up to the idea that I'm going to make something and eat something. It's a visual component to, there's such a huge visual component to cooking as well. So I wanted the pictures to be beautiful and inviting. I wanted them to be like, oh yeah, I definitely, what's that? I might not make that necessarily. But now that I see a picture of it, I'm like, oh, I do need an hour and a half, but it's an hour in the oven and only 30 minutes out. So I'll give it a try. And then I tried to make sure that there wasn't a lot of repeats so that you felt like the 128 recipes that you were getting from a no-name person that doesn't have a food on, a show on the Food Network
Right.
still had something to offer you.
Yeah. I love that.
That's exactly what happened with me. Now, were you like me where I was just like recipe, 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 and the next thing you know, you have well over 100 recipes, and you're like, man, I need to cut some of these back, or nah, we're good with all this, because that's what happened to me.
Yeah. So you went through a publishing house, right?
Yes, I
And
did.
they limited the number of pages you had, correct?
No, they didn't. I limited myself. I think I ended up having like 175 recipes, and I thought that's quite a bit. So
Yeah.
after I cut, I think it was like 125 recipes. Uh, so I was like, okay, I can live with that. It's still a lot, but that was the experience I had.
So I had 40, I think I have 44 that were cut
Mm,
because as I was doing the book, the printing costs got more and more expensive, and to have
Yeah,
it to be a certain price point, they had to be like you have to cap at 144. My acknowledgments is not even in my book; it's on my website because I didn't want to take the 2 pages because I was feeling like this is light compared to how many I originally started with.
yeah,
yeah. I love that commitment. You were like, this is going to be the way I want it. And I want this is going to be a very specific way. And the acknowledgments will just be digital. It'll be fun.
Yes.
yeah. When
So
I did mine, I never got. No one ever told me anything like that. They were like, "That's great. Yeah, that's excellent. Oh yeah, you should add that too." Like it was just done my way, and I think I just kind of limited myself
Yeah.
because it was to me it was a bit overwhelming, and even I thought, man, there's way too much information. Let's just make it simple, and everything that stuck were recipes I just loved, and uh, when it came to your research and development, did you do everything yourself, or did you send them out to friends and say, "Try this, tell me what you think"?
Yeah,
How'd
so
that work?
I would send them to friends and be like, "Can you reproduce what?" Especially if I just made something, they'd be like, "I have to have this," and they were like, "Is this going in the book?" And then I would send it to them and say, "Tell me if when you made it, it wasn't how you just had it."
Yeah,
that's
But I
smart.
didn't pay people to.
right.
I didn't do that piece of it. I know some people do send
It
it
was
on.
all friends. If I had a friend that said, "Are you going to pay me to make this?" I'd be like, "Okay, we'll go to someone else." You
Right,
know?
right, right. And 50% of the time, everyone just wanted to make it at their house anyway. So they were like,
Yeah,
"Good, I don't have to wait for the cookbook. I'm making it."
good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
It's
incredible.
always very rewarding though. Like when you have someone, they come back and they say like, "Hey, you know what? I burned water, and man, this recipe was easy to follow and it was really good." So it's also a love language, like the title of your book. But
Yep.
like just even having someone tell you like this recipe was so easy to follow, it just takes it from here to here.
Hmm. And the fact that I'm not a chef, I'm not a professionally trained chef. So when I'm in the kitchen, I'm in the kitchen as a layperson. So if I'm telling you to do something, I make a pumpkin roll. Well, every recipe I've ever seen for a pumpkin roll, you're flipping and you're doing all of these things. And I'm
Hmm.
like, that makes me not want to make the recipe. So when you make it in your house and you're like, I'm just going to take a dish towel, roll it, and now I'm done. And then I'll unroll it and I'll roll it again. That to me becomes okay, you will do this because you're not five of you in a kitchen that's professionally done and they're doing the fryer later and they're doing these things. So I think I felt like the average person could take my cookbook. Like it could be a kid's
Yeah.
teenage book where you could get a kid cooking in the kitchen. A lot of it, like some of my recipes, I feel like it's really mostly chopping and boiling. I
Yeah.
have an edamame salad, noodle salad. It's soba noodles, edamame, it's carrots shredded, it's thinly chopped or red and orange peppers if you want. It's got cabbage, both red and green, and it has sesame seeds and mirin instead of soy sauce.
Right.
Hmm.
So it almost becomes like kimchi after a couple of days. But it's chopping. And you boiled water for basically a pasta and some edamame, which take 4 minutes a piece to make. So you could be 10 or 14 and you can make that. And you can
Right.
Yeah.
add oranges afterwards. Or you not add oranges if you don't like it. And I don't do garlic or ginger in that recipe because I make it as something for me to eat leftover. And both the garlic, raw garlic, and the ginger will ruin the flavor by day two.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think
But I
that,
say if you're making it all at once for a party, feel free to add ginger and feel free to add garlic, but it
yeah.
doesn't miss anything from not having it. And I'm telling you why I don't add those things. Where if you
Yeah.
look up an edamame noodle salad, they'll always have soy sauce, they're almost always having garlic, and they're always almost having ginger. But for my purposes, how I'm using the recipe and how everyone's
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like we go
Yeah.
out on the boat on the weekends in the summer and I just bring a big huge thing and everyone's just pounding it on the boat and
Yeah.
it feels light and crisp and cold, and so it satisfies a whole bunch of purposes. It's food in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I,
love
I
that.
like
I love that idea of giving people options too. Like, I think that's part of
it.
my natural resistance to like a formatted recipe is that there's no fun, there's no flexibility, and it goes like it has to be this way. Whereas like when I learned how to cook from my grandmother, I mean, I went to culinary school too, and I've been in the business for a really long time, but I can remember standing by the stove with my grandmother and her going, you see how it looks when it looks like this, you do this, right? And you get a little bit of that in the business, but the heart is not there. And when you're reading a recipe and there's no, it's all rigidity. It's eh, like that's fine. I would rather make a stir fry at home. I can use up everything that's in the fridge. I can clean out the freezer. I can make it vegan. I can make it with beef. Like I have all these options. Like nobody's going to tell me what I can and can't do. And that's what I tell people who are learning to cook is that a recipe is a guideline. It's
Hmm.
just a suggestion, you know? So
And
Yeah,
the
and
fact that
so
you're all go ahead.
I was going to say, can you guys eat cilantro?
Mhm.
I
sparingly.
can't eat cilantro.
I'm Hispanic. I have to. It's in my It's part of my DNA.
Okay, perfect. Well, but I let everyone know you'd probably want to put cilantro, but I'm putting
Yeah.
parsley.
And that's what I was going to say. Like the fact that you're adding like those little notes of like your opinion, what works for you, what you could do, why you do what you do, it adds that extra step of love, and it just gives off that true authenticity of like, this is me, this is what I want, And again, it's going to that recipe as a guideline mentality. And if you want to add stuff, you know what? This would be great. Like one of my recipes is a bread pudding where I'm using like the sweet onion rolls. And I tell people, like, I know it sounds crazy, but you got to try it. And it's a really good recipe. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wanted this to feel because I'm not a chef. I wanted this to feel like we're in the kitchen together. I'm your friend.
Yeah.
I'm making this easy. I'm making it taste good because no one cares. And I'm also making it healthy because one of the running jokes I had with my husband, so he was the boyfriend, right? I fall in love with, him. I fall in love with food. I fall in love with cooking. And but his grandmother tells me like men don't eat fish, men eat steak. She's Polish and she's like meat, potatoes. Because I looked thin. I looked like I was eating nothing but salad. She could see the dieter in me. She could see my size 4 dieter, right? So she's trying to warn me that he's 6'1", he's 220 pounds. We need to feed him like food. And so anytime I would try to give my husband a salad for dinner, no matter what kind of protein was on it or whatever, he'd say, my grandmother told you I'm not supposed to have salad. And I'm like, yes, but I'm trying not to give you a heart attack, right? So I'm trying to
You
balance.
need a little roughage.
I'm trying to balance loving you with some fiber and some vegetables, because that is, I think, I've had several health concerns over my life, and they've all been fixed by diet.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm
Amazing
so
what
so happy
happens
to
when
hear
you
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
we're both finding that out. Not the hard way, but we're having fun learning about like what a good diet can do to your body, what it can do to your blood sugars. You know, as we are getting more experienced. Um, you know, I'm Hispanic, so of course I have a lot of diabetes in my family, and I'm learning what I can't eat, what I can possibly get away with. But yeah, it's just diet's
Want
super
some
important.
tricks? Do you want some
Oh
tricks?
yes.
Okay. So you're a chef, so how does your food intake look? What does your food intake look like in a day?
It depends on what kind of phase I'm in. If I'm trying to like cut some weight, then I'll probably do about three smaller meals, but they're very lean. If I'm in a I don't really care mood, I'll eat any and everything that's in my way.
Okay. One of the things I was going to say is I used a continuous glucose monitor.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of ways to cheat that. I found firsthand scientifically because you can watch your blood sugar real time on an app because you're
Yeah.
connected to it at all times, right?
Hmm.
So if I ate my fiber first, I could change my blood sugar. I have to eat a little bit of fiber and fat with every meal. If I just eat protein, my
Yeah.
blood sugar spikes and it's not supposed to. But for me, that's what was happening. So sometimes I would try to do like 3 flights of stairs or squats or like I have these 8 and 15 pound weights and I would sometimes just sit at the computer. But if I've eaten, I've tried to do some form of movement for
Hmm.
within the first half an hour for 10 minutes. And it seems to level out the blood sugar a little bit too. So just try those
Yeah.
Yeah.
little techniques if you can.
Yeah, sometimes they recommend like a walk after dinner. Um, I'm fairly new, I guess now. I think I've had it or actually been like formally diagnosed with type 2 for maybe 2 years now, or like a year and a half. Um, Mine's really well controlled with medication, but one thing I did find interesting when I was looking at a different autoimmune disorder this past weekend was like, oh, aspartame can trigger migraines if you have these two autoimmune disorders together. And I was like, huh. I was like, well, they're gonna have to figure something out because they're gonna have to pry these Diet Cokes out of my cold dead hands because they're delicious.
Yes.
I'll just keep taking Tylenol. It'll be okay. But like, it's really fascinating to learn like, you know, what effect that food can have on the body under certain conditions, right?
Yeah.
So
So
it's
I
been really
have
interesting.
psoriasis, which is an
Hmm.
autoimmune. And
Hmm.
that's when I first learned about the diet
Yeah.
body connection. But they put me on that really rigid, no eggs, no wheat, no gluten, no
No
sugar, no
flavor, no
alcohol.
fun.
And
Yeah.
but it cured my psoriasis in 3 weeks. And then I just had to learn. But I will say that I also had just lost my father. He just had passed away when I think grief was a stress trigger for me that kicked it off. So I also know stress, even if I'm eating really good and I'm really, really stressed, I can have an autoimmune flare up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely possible. I like to think of food as fuel and food is medicine. And even if those two things can sometimes feel too rigid for me. So then I used to look at food as entertainment. When I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it kind of changed that. So it wasn't that I stopped ever having anything I could enjoy, but, I still have to look at food as joy sometimes, or, uh, I want to enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
I don't have to earn food through exercise. I don't have to earn food through making good food decisions, right? Like I can just make a food decision and it doesn't have any good or bad attached to it. Like it's just food. It's just fuel. But if I get really hard into that, then I start looking at every single plate for its macros. And when I start doing that, all the love is gone. So it's like hard.
Yes.
It's like you got to find a balance.
Yep.
So
Because you're not running yourself like a tyrant,
yeah,
right?
not a
Yeah.
machine.
Right.
Like I'm a person, and I
Right.
eating the ice cream makes me feel good, even though it doesn't actually make me physically feel good.
Yeah.
But you can have a little. So
Uh-huh.
yeah. So tell me the cheesecake's in the book, right?
The cheesecake is in the book.
Right.
Yes.
And
When do we get the book?
one other thing, like, so this is my cheesecake. What's really funny, I even say, like, don't put the
Oh,
strawberries on it. Put it by the slice. We did that for the photo, but you will ruin your cheesecake.
Yeah, I imagine a plain cheesecake with no crust does not photograph well from the top.
No,
So,
no.
um, and when will the cookbook be available?
So I just got the copies in the mail. So they have an 8 week pre-sale. So you can go online and order it on pre-sale. We're working on getting the widgets up and all of that stuff. So it should be available on March 10th.
Okay, amazing. If
And where
you,
can we find it?
yeah, where? Everywhere.
You're going to be able to find it all the bookstores. You're going to be able to find it online, Amazon. You'll be able to find it on my website, but it's going to be everywhere the bookstores are. Books are sold because I went with a printer who was a distributor.
Nice. That's smart.
Awesome.
I can't wait if you can get like either yourself or maybe Jenny can send us over like this
Yes.
stuff when it's all ready. I cannot wait to share that with everybody and I can't wait to have one. Is the
Yes.
cheesecake your favorite recipe?
No, because cheesecake is not my favorite recipe, actually. My favorite recipe, so if it was the desserts, it's the raspberry thumbprint cookies.
Oh my God,
They're
yes.
made with ground
Yeah.
almond and they taste like they have the raw cookie dough unctuousness without being raw cookie dough. They don't have eggs in them. So that's my favorite dessert, and they're like crack cocaine. Just so you know. For two people who tell me they have diabetes, I'm like, I'm just warning you, have a friend when you have them so you don't eat them all.
I'm just gonna eat all of them. It's fine. Like if that's my if that's my meal for the day because it's too much, I'm like, cool.
I'll lose a toe for it. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll lose a toe.
Go for a walk, eat them while you're walking.
Right.
My spicy coconut mussels over couscous. I love
Yes.
mussels. And I love, you can almost never, you could eat a whole loaf of bread and not get up all the juice from mussels. So couscous underneath mussels to me is a way for you to, it's a vehicle to get the delicious broth into
Yeah.
your body.
Mm.
So that's probably one of my favorites.
What is the
Veggie.
if you sorry, if you don't mind sharing or if it's spoilers, you don't have to, but what is the spicy in that? So I assume there's like coconut milk. Is it a curry? Is it chilies? Like what is
It is, I do turmeric.
Mm.
I do turmeric. I do mint, parsley, and garlic. I do Vidalia onions, but it jalapeno is what
Oh.
makes the spice.
I can't wait. I am so excited. I'm so excited.
So, Stephen, when you did your pictures for the book, did they do that independent of you?
I did pretty much everything. Like I had a friend of mine who I had lost touch with. Come to find out, he had done like photography, music videos, things like that. So we literally, I lived in a tiny little apartment, and we did everything in my apartment. Um, and the funny thing is, when I met my wife, she said, "Oh, my mom does books for a living." So she helped put everything together, and I went with a publisher out of Houston or something like that. They weren't a distributor. That's lesson learned. But I mean, still, I just lucked out every step of the way, and I learned so much in the process.
So one of the things, so I hired a photographer. She's like, of course I can do food. And then I got the pictures and they looked great on thumbnails, but when I blew them up to be 8.5 by 11, they didn't look good. So I had to save up the money to do it again. And
Nice.
you pay for the food, you're taking the time off,
Yeah.
you're paying for the photos. It's an expensive proposition to do the photos, right? So
Oh, yeah.
I hire a food photographer who says I only work with my stylist. Like so you can cook it, but she's gonna style it. I go, great, right? So I said I'm spent $2,500 on 48 recipes worth of food, and I have my friend over, and I'm gonna give the food away, right? Because
Yeah.
you're making 48 meals
hmm
equivalent. So I didn't want to throw it away. So I said, don't make the food inedible when you're photographing it because someone's gonna have to have this. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, and I'm like, you guys can have it for lunch. You can take it home. And they walk in my house and they're like, we don't do that. The first thing we photograph is the white macadamia nut cookies,
Uh-huh.
white chocolate macadamia nut cookies. And the guy who's doing the editing is like, can I have the cookies? I'm like, sure. By lunch, the food stylist was like, can I have the mussels? Like everyone was calling their food as they were photographing it.
hmm
I
we
that
actually
had to
got
be
very
that had to be the
creative.
most amazing feeling though.
It
Like,
was very satisfying because they're like, we don't eat the food that we take pictures of. And I was like,
yeah,
okay. And then they're smelling it with me and they're like, can I have this for lunch?
We
love
got
that.
very creative on some of the pictures that we took. So, for example, some of the sauces, of course, you can't just put it on a plate and make it look good. So you get like those little fancy spoons for like soups, like that you would use like for pho, things like that. I want to say there's a cherry. There's a cherry sauce recipe that we put like in an apple. We did like an onion jam in like one of the peels of the like. We just got creative because think of it like baller on a budget, and that's exactly the lifestyle we lived, and we made it all just look really good with what we had.
That's
And
awesome.
we ate pretty much everything. So we separated all within like a few months worth. So like on a Friday night or a Saturday night, instead of partying, we'd be at my apartment just like cooking all this food, making it look cool. But I'd buy like small portions so that way you can make it work. And yeah, I just got pretty creative with what I had.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that so much. I'm over here like every time somebody asks me for a recipe for anything, I'm like, I can give you a formula. I don't have a recipe for this. I can reproduce it because I can. Like they're like, do you have a recipe? I'm like, no, I don't.
And that's because you're reproducing it off taste.
Yeah, and like feeling. I mean, if you ask me for quiche, right? Like I'm like 10 eggs, quart of cream, 2 cups of mix-ins, crust of choice, right? Like that is a no fail. That will work every time. You can use it for minis. You can put it in it. You can pour it in a casserole because that's a little bit of a science. This much protein, that much fat, like that's this
Hmm.
much cream. If you ask me for a pound cake or what I like to call a depression cake. That's the Great Depressions, no eggs, no milk, no butter. I could probably give that to you. It's like a cup of flour, a cup of sugar, a cup of water, a tablespoon of oil. But yeah, people are like, "Oh, how do you make that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And
I
I
have no idea."
admire that because I have to start with something.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
have to start from because I didn't grow up with cooking. My mother was starving herself, smoking, Salem 100s on the couch. I wasn't witnessing it in my home. We were having a fundamental existential crisis over if I was going to get my convection toaster back. And they were like, "You're not getting it back. We threw it away. You're using the microwave." And I'm like, "Well, that's it. You've ruined everything." You know.
it's like they tried to give you a flip phone, and you're like, "I want the one with the cord."
I want the one with the well, I just didn't know how to use it effectively.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing about like a lot of microwaves now are like a combination microwave air fryer together. And essentially, it's nothing but a stovetop convection oven. It's really all it is, right? You're not frying anything. There's no liquid in it. There's no fat in it. I was explaining this in a prior episode. Like you can't put things that you've breaded at home in an air fryer because the outside is dry and there's nothing to wet the dry. So it's not going to work. But the microwave cooks moisture out of food. Like that's its purpose, right? So
Yeah.
it's not good for bread. It's not good for stuff. Their stuff is not good. It's good for popcorn and melting butter and like
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah.
Reheating leftovers, I guess. You know?
But don't ask me for how long. I can't do it.
I use it to defrost. I use it to defrost. Like probably more than anything, I use it to defrost because I'm impatient.
Hmm.
It's a big defroster. It's all it is. All right, I'm stealth Googling over here. Tell me, does your Bigos have prunes in it? This seems to be a controversy.
Okay, so I am not Polish.
Got it.
I'm Italian.
Yeah.
I've had it with prunes. It's delicious. Mine does not have prunes. I do put tomato paste in mine because I think tomato paste is a good flavor. Just like sun-dried tomatoes. Like I try to put a lot of those, like, how do we boost the flavor? I use bay leaves. I don't think that's real traditional. So no, mine does not have prunes, but
What
mine
about
does have mushrooms.
does it have allspice in it?
Nope, I don't like allspice either.
All right. No marjoram either?
Nope.
Oh man. I'm like
I know.
I'm like
So
strike for strike.
right. So no, but this is the thing. So what happened is my husband, so his family's from Poland, right? And
Mhm.
no one writes down any recipes. And we go to this restaurant in Montreal called Stash.
Okay.
And so he gets bigos and he goes, "Oh my God, this is the dish I'm telling you about. Make this for me at home." Right? And I'm like, okay.
You
So
were
I'm like,
you were already married at this point?
We were married.
Okay, so there's no getting out of like it's like
Yeah, there was
no.
no like, okay, I'm leaving. That's I didn't know this was gonna be a requirement. So I'm like, and I'm really like one of the most pleasurable things for me is to cook so that he's happy. Like, can I change your mood with a meal? You know, I've done my job as a wife. Like, I can't solve the outside problems, but if your stomach is happy, I've done my job. That's all I'm really responsible for. So I'm tasting it, eating it, and then I come home and try to put it together. And it's wrong. It's not tasting like it did in Montreal, but I don't know how. And I'm like talking to people who's they're Eastern European in any way.
It's
Are
the
you
metric system.
Ukrainian?
It's the
Are you-
metric system. I don't even know how many maple syrups to one bald eagle, but it's the metrics. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just like, yeah, sorry. Please
So
go
I have
ahead,
this
go ahead.
woman. We have a PO box where we get all our packages, and I'm like, "You're Polish," and she said, "Yeah." I go, "Do you make bigos?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so I said, "How do you get that color if you don't use tomato?" Because then I start Googling it. Because at first I didn't Google because I was trying to do it off of a flavor. I was trying to match a flavor. And so she's like, "Well, first of all, we don't use tomato." Because I'm like, "How much tomato paste do you use?" She's like, "Zero." Like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You're Italian. Stop it." You know, and then she's like, "I use red cabbage, not just green cabbage, but red cabbage." When I changed to red cabbage, I got the right color. And then I did have to adjust down how much um, tomato paste I did use because I was like, oh, I'm building flavor with my tomato paste. I add a carrot, which is not um, typical, but put it this way, I've made this meal. I usually make it for a family member's birthday because she's Polish and she's a grandmother. And so it's like, all right, we're making all the Polish food around her birthday every year. And I make it ahead because it's better if you eat it the next day. So you have it, you add kielbasa at the end and everything, but it's better the next day. And I'm making it, and I've had, the plumber coming in for something, or I have the guy who's doing something, and they're like, "What is that smell?" Because they can't put their finger on it. It's the sauerkraut and the cabbage that's throwing them off, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Does it smell good?" And they're like, "Yes." I'm like, "I'm not going to tell you it is. Do you want to just try it?" Everybody who's had it, and there's like the plumber like waiting, with his in his socks. He's just finished the plumbing job waiting for it. And everybody always thinks it tastes amazing. But if you're a traditional Polish person from Poland, they're probably not going to like it, but they all argue with each other anyways, because like any nationality, every village does it their own way.
Yeah.
So
Every
they
house
can't,
could do it their own way. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, so they can't even agree how it's done, but they'll tell you mine is a little bit wrong.
I love it. I love it so much. I love that. And what was the like mainstay, was there any mainstay Italian dish in the home, like maybe a grandmother did or that you grew up with? Like,
So my grandmother cooked spaghetti for 20 minutes.
gross.
My husband met me. She was a business person. I got my business acumen from her. I did not get my cooking skills from her. Because she's an Italian grandmother, but she's out in the workplace. She's like the last thing on her mind
Just
is
not like being a nona, a nona.
she's not
Yeah.
a man that way. No. So I didn't think I liked turkey because I ate my grandmother's turkey and she put it in the oven at 4 o'clock in the morning and we ate it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm meeting, this is my first Thanksgiving with my husband, who's my boyfriend at the time. And I'm warning him that, we go over his house first because his house eats at 1. And I'm like, all right, then we'll go to my family for 4. So he's passing me the turkey and I go, I don't eat turkey. And he's like, immediately wants to break up with me. Like, what are you even talking about? You don't eat turkey. Like, who is this girl, right? So he's like, well, just take the turkey. So I take it and I'm like shocked at this turkey. So now I'm in love with turkey. And he gets to my grandmother's house and he goes, oh, this is why you don't like turkey. I thought you didn't like turkey.
It's like, now it makes sense. Now I understand. Like,
Oh,
this turkey's been killed twice. So.
But I do make a really good sauce. And I think so I actually make several different sauces. One is a gravy that cooks over multiple hours that has meat. That's not in this particular book. That's one of the recipes that got cut. Because I'm like, how many people, there's only so many long recipes you can put in a book before people are like, I don't have the time to make the food in this book. So that's for more the party.
Yeah.
That will be out. because it does feed, 80 people. But I do have like a quick weeknight sauce that's a meat sauce, and then a regular quick um, tomato sauce. But I think the reason why my sauces are so good in such a short amount of time is I use a very wide, low pan. So a lot of steam is
Yeah.
coming off of it and bubbling out, so it thickens really, really quickly.
Yeah, you're concentrating on the flavors. You get
Yeah.
more surface area on the top.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yes. So
amazing.
you will always be told to make it in that type of pan
Nice.
versus a
That
saucepan.
that is brilliant. That's brilliant. I
Thank you.
love it. Lisa, you said March 10th, right?
Yes.
All right. Why don't you plug your radio show?
Okay, so I have a radio show with my best friend called Lisa and Robin on the mic, where nothing is taboo. We talk for 2 hours every Thursday from 10 to noon,
Mm,
and you never know what we're going to talk about.
I love it.
You
And
can watch it live on YouTube, and it is always up after the hours on Spotify, and then you could listen to it within 50 miles of Nashua, New Hampshire on 95.3 FM.
amazing. I'm going to. I'm immediately going to. I was just about to ask, like, oh my God, I'll never catch it live. I'm always at work. Tell me where I can find it after. So
So I will send you. I have a couple of good comedian, like we had some comedians on. That one was really funny, and then I just had a cookbook author on at the tail end of last year. I can send you those as well.
amazing. Love that.
Excellent.
Yeah. I love it so much. Hey, we've had a blast talking. Stick around after we stop recording and we'll chat like for a few more minutes. Thank you so much for coming on. Wish you nothing but the best of luck, and we will be sure to promote the crap out of this cookbook. I can't wait to have one. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on the Food for Thoughtcast. We love having conversations like this, just exploring the other side of food, and it's really about bridging that divide that seemingly people think there is between people who aren't chefs and people who are cooks, and everything in between. But I just loved hearing your perspective, and we had a blast. So,
Yeah, I did too. Thank you so much for having
yeah,
me.
thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Well, for Steve and Lisa, we got to go. Bye.
Bye bye.